Hi everyone, I'm Benjamin, and I am currently fighting COVID, and thought I would use this opportunity just to share some thoughts that have been on my mind a while that I really don't have the energy to write out. So, guess we could call this the COVID Contemplations, maybe? I don't know, that's kind of catchy. So, what's on my mind right now? Well, one of the things I've been thinking about for a while is the whole issue of the Ravi Zacharias scandal. For those of you that aren't familiar, the late Ravi Zacharias, he was a well-known apologist and evangelist, engaged in a lot of interfaith dialogue with representatives from other religious groups. It recently came out and has been confirmed by his organization, Ravi Zacharias International Ministries, that he had been involved in a lot of illicit sexual activity on par with being a sex predator. A lot of that kind of behavior, which was shocking to many. And I know for me, Ravi's ministry had made a pretty decent impact on my life. I really admired a lot of his work. He represented somebody that was able to engage in apologetics, and apologetics is a form of evangelism, but without leaving some of the ministerial tone. So while he was an apologist, so thus heavily involved in philosophy, he did it as very much a ministry that didn't get too deep into the head. It's always as if the heart was still a factor. And a lot of what he did was very relatable as well. So when this came out, the church naturally does what the church does in this kind of matter, which is cancel him. And I have struggled with that because as I look at his writings, things like Jesus Among Other Gods or The Lotus and the Cross, Jesus Talks with Buddha, which looks at these major differences between the Christian faith and the Buddhist religion, I have to wonder, should we abandon the writings and works of someone of the past when it comes out that morally they were very, very in the wrong and engaged in a lot of terrible immoral behavior? I don't know. And part of the reason this is a struggle for me is because I have seen other examples of ministers where God still uses them in some way, very much despite of themselves and their own hidden moral behaviors. I know when I was very young, there was a youth minister, very gifted in evangelism as well, very good preacher. Certainly, his work with the young folks brought many into the faith. But I knew, though many people didn't, that he was also living a secret life that certainly for his church tradition would have resulted in him being kicked out of ministry, and really probably justifiably. So how to reconcile this? Someone that is engaged in immoral behavior, but at the same time the ministry does have some fruit. Does that mean we take all of their sermons and just discard them, even if some of them are sound? I don't have an answer on that. I personally have tried to draw some distinction between the work of God through a flawed individual and the individual themselves. Sometimes that's doable. I don't think it always is. So obviously I am posing questions. I'm not really trying to present any clear answers, because on this I am still trying to parse out some of what the answer should be. I certainly think in some cases, when you're dealing with somebody that is clearly teaching falsehood, it's obvious. If the teachings are good, what then? I do know with Ravi, my big concern with the revelation of this secret sin that had been there is that it may very well lead to the loss of faith of some. Because he spoke a lot on college campuses, and I could easily see there being some of the younger folks that they will look at what he was teaching, then find out about what he was into, and say, well, it's obvious that he didn't really believe it, which means it must not really be true. Well, I have never understood the leaving of the faith because of the hypocrisy of other believers. That's never made sense to me, because whether or not Jesus rose again from the dead does not, no matter what Christians do, it doesn't change whether or not that's true. And if Jesus is alive, then he is alive regardless of what his people do. We do need to be showing the signs of true repentance so that we can validate with our own lives that what we believe is real. That much I do know. So, obviously, church needs a lot of prayer. That much I know as well. And I don't think we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But for my part, well, I may still pick up some copies of his works that I don't have on my shelf already, because there's still some very good material in them. Well, that's some of my musings at the moment. It's not much, mostly questions. Thoughts, comments, feel free to share them in the comment section below. And I look forward to seeing what some of y'all think. I know this is very unedited, but like I said, I'm fighting COVID, and this is the first video where I'm putting out some of my ponderings. Take care. God bless.